As you know, health is very critical to human capital development. And you need very strong human capital to drive economic development. But the health sector today is in a crisis, just to put it mildly. Many of our doctors are leaving, they continue to leave droves. Doctor-to-patient ratio is extremely low, one of the lowest in the world. And you find a situation where most of the citizens, maybe between 80 to 90, get health care out of pocket. They pay to get health care. Many of them go to pharmacies to get medical treatment. Some of them go to all these alternative medicine people just because they don't have the capacity to go to the normal medical institutions. So what exactly will you do to turn around the health sector and make healthcare more accessible, especially to the ordinary Nigerian? Secondly, it's about climate change. Climate change has had a very devastating effect. What? Climate change, yes, it has had a very serious devastating effects on the citizens and the economy. Only recently we saw the effect of flooding all over the country. We also know the effects of desertification up north and how that has also been contributing to the problem of insecurity. So those are my two final questions.
Thank you very much. On the issue of health sector reform, we first introduced the first reforms as far as the health sector reform is concerned. But unfortunately, we have not seen effective implementations of those health sector reforms. We set up the health insurance scheme and many other sector reforms like that. And as you know, health generally is a concurrent issue, between the federal government, states, and local governments. What as federal government we can do is to make sure that our policy reforms are implemented at various levels of governance. Because we cannot take the full responsibility of whole sector other than through reforms, making sure that the correct legislations are passed, which will enable both the federal government, states, and local government implement them to provide, the health sector reforms that is embodied in those laws. So this we will make sure we implement. And of course, there are already reforms that are in place. We just make sure that we bring it together, both the states and the local governments, in harmony with the federal government. That is as far as the health sector reforms. Climate change, again, we had started dealing with the issue of climate change before we left office. Unfortunately, those policies have not been continued. We had programs of desertification by making sure that our northern border, there is a buffer zone of forest, to protect the desert encroachment coming from the Sahara into the north and then eventually even coming down, to the south. We had started this program of, I visited a number of states, launching those programs to make sure that there is a buffer. There are about 9 or so states in the north that are bordering, the northern countries like Chad, Niger, and to some extent also Cameroon. So we have started a very good afforestation program, but unfortunately it has not been continued. These are what we can do as far as desertification is concerned. Of course, climate change, we will be part of the international community that we will work together to make sure that the effects of climate change are minimized in our country and also globally.
What about flooding?
Well, flooding, I have, I think, issued a statement and made suggestions or recommendations of, first of all, dredging our waterways and also constructing of a number of dams across the country where water, where several maybe tributaries or rivers converge. Definitely, we have not continued with the dredging of both the rivers Niger and Benue, who actually are the main waterways in this country. And unless we do that, then because they have been silted over the years, so we have to do that. Okowa is a perfect vice president. And I can tell you that I suffered, from my own boss too. There are regulatory functions of the office of the vice president that you cannot take away. Regulatory, I mean, these are lawful functions of the vice president. They say, in the law setting up, they will say, the vice president is the chairman of this, the vice president is the chairman of that. My boss took them away. They were unlawful. Even the current vice president, what do you mean by Minister of Humanitarian Affairs? And you take all the agencies in the office of the vice president and you give it to a Minister of what is it? Huh? And these are all functions by law given to the office of the vice president. And they took it and gave it to a Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. What are you talking about? I'm not going to do that. Whatever is due to the office of the vice president, I will give him. I will even give him more.
The economy is run by the business people, and a healthy business environment brings a strong economy. But as a business owner, we face a lot of issues, especially in terms of funds availability. The very stringent fund policies, the loan disbursement policies, and the high rate of interest, it really affects the delivery of the businesses and the kind of solutions we want to bring in the market to improve the situation of the country. So my question to you, sir, is how do you plan to address, to uphold the SMEs and MSMEs in terms of the fund availability and supporting the small businesses? Thank you so much.
Well, if you go through our policy document, you will see where we said we are going to make available 10 billion to promote SMEs because we believe they are the bedrock of our economy, particularly the small scale and medium scale, enterprises. So this is one sector that we consider very, very important. And I have always said this. Empower a woman and you eliminate poverty. That's why 80% of my loan portfolio in my microfinance go to women only. 80%. And we have 90% recovery rate. And through that, we have moved out 45,000 families out of poverty. That's why if you want to fight poverty, empower a woman. So we will have policies, definitely, that will focus on SMEs. It's not $10 million, it's 10 billion.
Okay. Your Excellency, sir, my question is on insecurity. As a mother of young children in Nigeria,
I am also a father of young children.
I
still born, I still produce.
I want to ask what your plans are on insecurity, especially when it comes to the activities of herdsmen, Boko Haram, bandits, and your plan on how to deal with them so that there will be sanctity of lives property of Nigerians. Because every day we hear the killings all over the country, and it breaks my heart. And we are concerned about this. So we want to know how you want to handle this issue of insecurity, and how you are going to give us the confidence that when you become president, we can travel and not be accosted on the road and killed, and our bodies will not be found. Thank you very much.
Insecurity. Again, insecurity is a concurrent issue. Federal government, states, and local government. And not only that, in fact, the concurrent issue, it gets up to even individuals and families. Because we all have a responsibility to make sure that we have a secure society. You have mentioned a number of sectors as far as the insecurity is concerned. You have mentioned herdsmen. I come from a state where there are many, many herdsmen. In fact, I am also a herdsman. I have 1,000 cattle, but they have never left my farm. What does it mean? I mean, I believe in grazing rather than taking your animals all over the place. So it all depends on where you come from and the peculiarity of where you come from. But I believe security generally affects all of us wherever we come from. There is security in the southeast. They call them iPod. They are talking about Biafra. Biafra died about how many years ago? What we require is to engage the southeast. What are your problems? It's a question of engaging. So every part of the country has its own peculiar insecurity challenges. The challenges are not uniform all across the country. So that's why, again, the security issue becomes a concurrent issue. Federal government is involved, state governments are involved, local governments are involved. There are kidnappings and this and that. In my state, what I convinced the government, I said, look, set up a vigilante in every village. We contribute money. We don't have incidents of insecurity, very, very minimal. So it is an issue that is concurrent, meaning that federal, states, and local government, and even smaller communities have a responsibility, provided you engage them and you discuss how to confront the challenge. So security is everybody's challenge. It's just not only the federal government, not only the state government, not only the local government. Individuals and families are also stakeholders as far as the issue of security is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm sure we all agree that he has done very well in this first part of the interview. Of course, it's an ongoing discussion. It hasn't ended. It's just that we are adjourning for another date. But on this note, I say a very, very big thank you to His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, also Dr. Muda Yusuf, for very excellent engagement, and I'm sure we've all enjoyed it. And it means that the work and everything is now on our side to properly assess Your Excellency in terms of the answers he has provided, to know whether it's very convincing, to know what we're going to do come 2023. But on that note, I say a very big thank you to Your Excellency. Thank you. Can we give a round of applause?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Franklin Ngu.
Madam.
Thank you again to the founder and CEO of the Center of the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Muda Yusuf. That was such a great session. Put your hands together for them. They did a fantastic job. All right.